One of the most fun things about Pokemon discussion is the categories that Pokemon fall into. Asking someone what their favorite Pokemon is really broad, and you could get any sort of answer, which is special in its own way. However, these categories allow you to talk about different types of Pokemon, like starters or evolutions or Ultra Beasts. One of the more popular categories overall is the legendary Pokemon. The interesting thing about these legendary Pokemon is they usually don't come by themselves. Usually, they are part of a trio or quartet that furthers the story of all of them together. Take, for example, Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza. One is Earth, one is Sea, and the other is Sky, and they all balance each other out in that way. In terms of lore, the legendary Pokemon are sort of lacking. Okay guys, put the pitchforks down, please let me explain. Most legendary Pokemon have really cool inspirations and derivative parts of them that are very, very cool. Take Reshiram, Zekrom, and Kyurem for example. They have a little bit of lore of how those three came to be, but what's really cool about them is how they are based off of yin and yang, or yin, yang, whatever, I said both of them, so hopefully you won't get mad at me. With Kyurem representing the boundary, the absence of truth and ideals, or yin and yang. But I think it's pretty safe to say that most legendary Pokemon feel like they are great sources of power to uphold the evil team's plans. However, in September of 2023, my world was completely shaken by the Teal Mask DLC. This DLC allowed you to explore the land of Kitakami, a place that has a very traditional Japanese setting. Immediately when you enter, you are taught about the ogre that once terrorized the town, and that 3 brave Pokemon banded together and took down the evil ogre. This story is obviously in reference to Ogerpon and the Loyal Three. Before this DLC came out, I was super excited about Ogerpon. I really love the design of the Teal Mask specifically, and I was telling all my friends that I think this might be my new favorite legendary. Little did I know, the real cool thing about the DLC would be 3 lurking Pokemon preying on Ogerpon's downfall. The Loyal Three, or Okidogi, Munkidori, and Pheasantipiti, feel more legendary as in the tales that they are a part of as opposed to the power that they hold. Ogerpon and the Loyal Three have their real-world source material like many of the other legendaries in Pokemon. This inspiration is a Japanese folktale known as the boy Momotaro. I'll give you the short version. Momotaro is a boy that was born from a peach that was under the care of a couple who could not give birth to a child. The village that he grew up in was constantly missing people, and it was theorized that they were being taken to a neighboring island filled with Oni. Oni are ogres, or demons, in Japanese mythology. So, Momotaro, being quite the supernatural boy, being born from a peach and all, decided that he would go over to Oni Island and take all of the Oni out. On his journey, he met a dog, a pheasant, and a monkey. And with all that information, I think you can put together who's who in this story. What I love about how it was adapted to Pokemon is it's actually quite the opposite. As you get further through the Teal Mask, you learn that Ogerpon was actually wronged, and that the Loyal Three are toxic and selfish Pokemon. They're not loyal to anyone but themselves. Or are they? As you probably have noticed from the story that I mentioned before about Momotaro, we have identified the dog, Okidogi, the pheasant, Pheasantipiti, the monkey, Munkidori, and the ogre, Oni, demon, whatever you want to call it, in Ogerpon. However, we seem to be missing the Peach Boy, Momotaro. In Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon did something that feels sort of like a blast from the past with these mythical events. In Pokemon games past, whenever you got a mythical Pokemon, there used to be a little assignment with it. You would usually have to get an item, go to this place, and then you would find the mythical Pokemon that you got, usually from a code distributed from a local video game store. I remember going to Toys R Us to get my Regigigas. Good times. Eventually though, Pokemon stopped doing this and kind of just either made them distributed by code or they would just appear in the game. However, in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, they paid homage to this old form of receiving mythical Pokemon with the new mythical Pecharunt. They added a new epilogue called Mochi Mayhem, and it is quite weird, but also quite fun. Pecharunt is the Pokemon that's supposed to be representative of Momotaro. He's shaped like a Pecha Berry to represent the peach part of him. The coolest part about Pecharunt is how it corrupts this childhood story in Japan into something malicious. Pecharunt has these toxic chains that he can shoot out, and you can see that they are attached to the Loyal Three in some way. Because of this, they are the Loyal Three because they are loyal to their friend Pokemon Pecharunt. Pecharunt gave them things that they wished for, such as beauty, strength, and knowledge. This is a really weird place to find this, but in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, when you are going to find them in the overworld, their little icons on the map will tell you this information. I think it would be so cool if in a future generation we see what these Pokemon were before they were given their wishes. Pecharunt uses these chains and poisonous mochi to control people to do its bidding. The epilogue I mentioned, Mochi Mayhem, is about it taking over humans to do its bidding and dance, I guess. Everyone's dancing. I think the Pokemon Company just wanted to make a zombie-esque storyline, and it was pretty funny, but yeah, also kind of weird. With all this lore about these Pokemon out of the way, I really want to highlight something specifically with this group of Pokemon. In other Pokemon games, legendaries tend to feel like plot devices, whereas Okidogi, Munkidori, Pheasantipiti, Pecharunt, and Ogerpon feel like actual characters that are interacting with the world. I mean, there are characters that get full characterization from their relationship with these Pokemon. Kieran and Carmine are really cool because of the parallels and dichotomies that present themselves with their relationship to Ogerpon and Pecharunt. Pokemon has always had story around some of these things, but nothing like this random group of Pokemon. And I think it's really funny because I don't think I would say that I like Okidogi, Munkidori, Pheasantipiti, or Pecharunt individually, but as this quartet, I can appreciate how strong they are in terms of the story of Kitakami. I mean, I just cannot get over how weird it is that the Pokemon Company / Game Freak / whoever writes the stories for these games went so hard with this specific small plot line. I mean, most of the story of Scarlet and Violet is not existent except for like Area Zero and this. And to be completely honest, stories like this make me very hopeful for Gen 10. I think overall, most Pokemon storytelling is up to interpretation. They usually just give us these little bits of information and try to have us piece together things, like all the theories about Area Zero before the DLCs came out. And while I do think that's really cool and also really fun, I think it would be really awesome if these fan theories we have can be either disproven or validated by the pieces that we get within the game. Because trust me, I love theorizing as much as the next guy, but what I really love is a good story that's right in front of me. And hey, if you like good stories, consider subscribing to the channel because I like covering them. And of course, if you liked the video, make sure to hit the like button and comment below what your favorite legendary is. I honestly have a feeling a lot of people are going to call me insane for this take about the Loyal 3, Pecharunt, and Ogerpon, but you know, what am I supposed to do? Anyways, stay tuned for more Pokemon content, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!